Okay.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you're doing well. It's been a long time since we've met each other on this next recording. Here we have with us Susan Harden, who was living in Andalucia and is now in Scotland. But she loves horses. And the topic for today is bringing us home to our own hearts. I want to say thank you, Susan, for coming here and sharing this topic with us. I really am going to enjoy talking to you, and I'm going to be learning about horses, which I don't know nothing about. So I will hand it over to you.
Oh, well, thank you so much for inviting me. It's such an honor to speak with you and your lovely community. And it always gives me a moment of gratitude for the wonder of internet, because I always think there's so many negative sides to it, but this is the amazing positive side, that we can be on opposite sides of the world and talk to each other. So yes, my passion for horses started very early in life. And people used to often say to me, but what is it you do that you can work so well with horses that are traumatized? And I always said, well, I don't have any special gifts. I don't have any special training or anything. And I just really thought it was about love, that I really, really love them and that they know that. So that might sound a bit soft and hippy dippy, but it's that feeling that it gives. So, of course, the horse isn't thinking, oh, she loves me. It's about our own state of being. So it's about that thing of not being, oh, I love you or I love you. It's about just being loving. And whatever that feeling of being loving transmits makes the horse feel safe. So horses really only want one thing. They just want to feel safe. You know, they're herd animals and they're very on the alert for predators, even when they're domesticated. So they're very aware of their environment and of how it feels, you know. They are feeling beings who sometimes think, and so are we, but we've become thinking beings who sometimes feel. So just to go back to that feeling and to give a horse a safe space. So I think when we are feeling that feeling of love, it makes the horse feel safe. And I think that's all horses want, and that's all people want. And that made me really think of coming home to the heart and just feeling, you know, that feeling of love. And for me, the horse really inspires that. And I then started to realize in my work with horses that, of course, it wasn't the horses that had the problem, it was the people. So every time I worked with a horse that people said it's a difficult horse, it's a problem horse, of course, those problems were created by humans. You know, horses don't have any issues or problems that haven't been put into them. I mean, very occasionally, maybe a horse is born and they have a lack of oxygen at birth and there's something not quite right in the brain, but this is very rare. So then I started working more with people and noticing how the effect of a horse can have such a big impact on a person. And actually, mostly people who are afraid of them. It's a great way to get over their fear. And people who have had trauma in their own life and find it difficult to feel loving because they've been rejected and, you know, they've maybe opened up to people and had that thrown back in their face and they've been hurt, or in the worst case, they've maybe never felt love in their lives, you know, from their parents as a child. And then it's so difficult. And I then started to realize how powerful it was with a horse. Of course, any animal, it would be the same, but I think it's the sheer size of a horse. You know, it's that thing about connecting with something bigger than ourselves, and that openness to be able to love without the fear of rejection, you know. And I think the size of a horse, that you can hug a horse or even lie on top of a horse, and if you lie forward and hug them round the neck, you know, the feeling of the energy of such a massive being. And if, you know, I do a lot of work with people just loose with, and if the horse starts to just follow you around, it can have a really profound effect. And it really opens our heart to love, I think, in a way that feels safe. And of course, when we can do that a little bit, and then the horse feels that and starts to trust, and then you can start to trust each other, it really brings us to a place beyond thinking and analyzing. I think that's the thing, because when we're very busy in our head, as we tend to be, because that's what we're trained to do in our society, and that's what's prized, isn't it? Intellect and thinking, and we've forgotten how just to be. And with horses, if we're overthinking, they actually it stresses them out. I mean, they learn to shut down because they're so used to people doing that, so they can just be shut down. But when they are aware of that, we might as well be shouting out loud. So it's a great way for us to stop and take a pause and take a breath and come back down and just come to our heart and feel. And I'm going to take a pause now because I'm rambling on talking too much.
No,
I don't know if that makes any sense to you.
it's so beautiful to hear about the concept of love and how we human beings overthink love. Do we even know, really? Born in a society when we kind of are thinking, who can we trust? Because we were like in an urban jungle. Not everyone's in an urban jungle, but everyone's been hurt at some point in their life, and it depends where you are, that your heart could be open, or you going through a process to remove that obstacle. And when you talk about the horses, oh my God, majestic creatures, so big. And funny enough, this whole week I've been seeing signs of a horse everywhere, pictures of a horse coming up. It's like I wanted to find out what is animal spirit horse means. And I sat on a pony. They made me think he was a horse. Ne? So, and that was a bit scary already. So tall and already so big, you know. And it's like I can't even begin to comprehend what it must be like to be near the presence of such an amazing, majestic, large creature with a big heart. And as much as you feeling fear, you there's the love that is the intelligence commanding it. And I just can't compare because I love dogs. I love dogs, and I can compare that. Like they still wagging their tail in the morning. They have no idea what was done to them half an hour ago, and they're still coming back, not across. We don't remember what happened 15 minutes ago, and still giving you love. It's and you know, like they call you the horse whisperer. I know that. And the concept of like I see the pictures, you know, of you with the horse. Like I always see that even in the movies, and it's now adding up about the safety feeling of the horse and to make the horse open a bit, because like you say, they say that the animals are like their owners, so it's not the problem, but the animal is the owner.
Yeah, this is so true. This is so true. So when I do courses, I often sit down with the owners and ask them, tell me about your horse. And then somebody will be sitting there all nervous. Oh, my horse is really anxious. And, you know, they're describing themselves. But it's interesting you say, of course, it's any animal, you know, it's that thing of being present. But there's another thing of horses that's related to what we're talking about, the heart, that horses' actual hearts is double the size of a human in relation to the body. So I think theirs is 1% and ours is only 0.5%. So their heart relatively, and the resonance of the heart, which now with technology they can measure, is 8 times bigger. So the actual field around a horse of the heart, of the healing heart space, is really huge if we can just be in that presence. It's that even that on its own is very powerful.
Wow, wow. I had a recording done with a woman who talks about heart intelligence, and she talks about meditation and the healing that the energy and the vibration of the heart causes in the surrounding areas. And that's what you sound, like you resonate on that same kind of topic there, about the horse's heart. And I guess like we don't really know that intelligence. Now, if our heart is so small, and so not okay, okay, size doesn't matter. We still feel the same thing. But to compare that to the horse's energy, you know.
Yeah, it's such a special thing. And I think it's what you said, it's that huge, gracious, powerful presence of a horse.
Yeah.
And, visualization is a really powerful thing, even if people don't have the opportunity to be near a horse. If you can find a quiet place to sit and imagine that, and create that image in your head of, where would you be? Is it a meadow? Is it a beach? And imagine this horse coming galloping towards you. And how does that feel? And them being near you. Our mind doesn't know when something's really happening or we're just visualizing it. So we can actually have a powerful effect of that. Obviously with people, when I work with people and they've actually been with the horse, they can take that feeling, that memory away with them. But it is possible to create that, maybe find online or somewhere a picture of a horse that inspires you if you struggle to make one in your imagination. And just go to the feeling of that. And with practice, that on its own can be very effective, even if we don't have the opportunity to do it in real life.
Yeah. That's so true, because when you just speaking about this presence of the majestic horse and the energy, and some people can be very scared because they when you sit on the horse, like you're scared you're going to fall off. What if he does something like that, and the horses kick, even you hear all these things. And now when I think about what you just said, and I think about what if I was on a boat and there was a massive whale under there, and
Mhm.
that's coming to surface to its presence, and then you're like, oh my god. So it's almost the same feeling.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so funny with horses that everybody I ever speak to has a story, either personally or somebody they know that had this really terrible experience of being kicked or bitten, or they got on a horse and the horse ran away. And this is all stuff that's been put into the horses by unaware people. It's not that the horse wants to rebel or, they just want to be peaceful, but people being unaware of that and doing things with horses that's just way, way, way too much. Mostly when I teach people, I say, okay, everything you're doing is okay, but you're doing 1,000% more than you need. The horse can feel a fly walking and on top of their hair. So it's not even on the skin and they can feel that. Yet people are pulling and kicking and pushing and all the thoughts and all the stuff. And it's just too much. So the horse either closes down, or that they only do two things. They only do what they think we're asking. So if we're being very violent to them, they're going to feel the same back, or they do what they think they have to do to survive. They just go in survival mode, which would be fight, flight, or flee. And so often they're not in a situation where they can run away or they can fight back. So then they freeze and they just shut down in that state of, where a lot of people end up for the same kind of reasons, really.
Yeah.
And we get so used to being in that space, and so do the horses, that we shut ourselves off from the possibility of really feeling because it's too difficult. So I think being with a horse, for the horse and the human, it can be a very healing experience of opening our hearts.
Oh wow, because now you made me think about my dog. Yeah. And makes me think, like, he like one of the trainers said to me, just look at it from his perspective. Like, when we were busy training him, and put yourself like if you were living in his house outside, and what he wakes up to in the morning, and you know, what is walking on his body, and how he's feeling, and think about what he wants with his space, because he's territorially is a Jackie Russell. So
Yeah.
so he was very cheeky. We were trying to train him, and that experience kind of taught me, and what you just said opened up even more. Like, we when I take him for a walk, sometimes it's me that is in that mood, and I don't know I'm pulling him. I'm like doing, like, it's like I'm doing a job. It's my job to take you for a walk. Now today I feel like I must take you for a walk, and I'm not really present with you, but I'm pulling you, and I can't even realize I'm pulling you, and you don't want to come. Like, like the horse, just like the horse.
Oh, this is so true. There's a very known phrase in horsemanship that we say, go with the horse, then ask the horse to go with you so that you can go together. So it's the same, you know, when you're taking your dog for a walk, like you say, we're so busy and I have to walk you and you're doing this and we're doing, but what about if we just first go with the animal and try and see what are they interested in? Where do they want to go? What are they looking at? And connect with that feeling. And then we can say to them, once we're connected with what they want, you know, then it's easier to say, okay, hey, now let's go over here and try and get them to do what we want, so that we find a place we can go together.
Yeah, very interesting. And so when I go and take my dog for the walk the next time, I'm going to make sure he takes me for a walk.
Yeah,
And I'll just be present with him there, right? Where you take me
yeah,
and I'll follow you now where you want to go.
exactly. Within the realms of safety, of course. If we
Yeah.
have busy roads or things like that, we maybe
Now he does have his way most of the time. He does, you know, like, and it's those days where it's like, you know, I don't know if I want to do this today, but I know it's good for me, it's good for him, but are you even doing it properly, you know, in those days? So yeah, it's so cool to hear this. Just uh thinking about more things about animals, and how we connect, and how that opens the heart space. Like when I came from the UK, I always met my dog through the conversations on WhatsApp. Like, and he'd run away from the phone. He's like, "What's this now? I don't know what's this technology. This is not my thing." And he was gone from there. And she'll be like shining the phone on, "Yes, you see, hello, you see that lady." So, and then I returned in person, and obviously he probably heard the voice, but he just felt everyone's energy around me,
Mhm.
and he felt like he also had to be in, like, he's also part of this energy. He could just sense it, so he started to grab like my leg, and he won't let my leg go. Every time I take a step, he won't let my leg go. And he's saying, like, what's going on with this guy? He never did this to nobody.
Yeah.
You know, so
Yeah,
I'm
and then that thing about just taking a pause and really listening, isn't it? Just
yeah.
to pay attention to that instead of thinking, what are you doing? You know, just to say, okay, what's going on here? Just take a pause and take a breath and really feel what's going on from the other side.
Yeah. And then 2 days from that day, we had a fight. He's like, okay, now I know you. I don't have to, you know, do the welcoming ritual. So yeah, it's like almost any other animal that you're connecting with, and I guess because of the scariness and the presence of being in a horse's energy makes it all more, I guess, mindful is the word.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's very much also that we go in with a prejudgment of, we think this is what's going to happen. We think this animal is scared, but very often maybe the horse is even more scared than the person,
Mm.
you know? And
Yeah.
sometimes people say, oh, you should never be scared around a horse. That's really bad, you know, you have to, but you can't, it's the thing of being inauthentic. So if you're really scared in front of a horse and you try to pretend you're not scared, then that's a disconnect between outside and inside, which is more disturbing to the horse. And very often with horses, if you're just genuinely in your fear, they'll be like, oh God, I've always been a bit scared of people, but this person's more scared than I am. I mean, obviously, if you have a very wild stallion and you're scared, then maybe it's not such a good idea. But in general, being authentic in how you're really feeling makes the horse feel much more comfortable with you, you know.
Wow. So, like in the case of what if you have a lot of fear, and now you walking towards a horse, and you're going to get to know this horse on the first day. Just someone's going to try to make you fearless about a horse. Now you've got lots of fear and this prejudgment inside you, and you're walking towards this horse. And they say animals can sense fear. You just kind of uh, confirmed it. So when you're in that situation and now you're with a horse, what do you advise the person to do? Like, be in your authentic,
Well,
know that you are.
yeah, yeah. So the first thing is always to keep yourself safe, because it completely depends on the horse's experience. You know, it depends what that horse's experience has been from people. And also horses have a very clear order of dominance, you know, so there'll be the horse in charge in the herd, and there'll be the one at the bottom of the pecking order. So, you know, if it's a horse that has a lot of fear, they may react well or they may not. So I think that the ideal way to experience that is if the horse is free in a paddock so they can move, but you are on the other side of the fence so you're safe, because the horse will feel your energy and where you're at from a distance. So that would be the ideal thing, you know, and that you observe the horse from afar and you notice if they notice you, notice their expression. And even if you know nothing about horses, it is just another being. And mostly you will be able to tell if the horse is looking friendly or they're looking angry, you know, to trust your feeling if you feel threatened. So you could be on one side of the fence and maybe the horse walks towards you. You could walk towards the horse. Maybe they stop, you stop, they turn, you turn. You know, you can kind of follow their movements and try and see things from their perspective. But that would be the ideal way to do it, would be from the other side of the fence, just to make sure, because you don't know that horse's experience from people in the past, which of course they're not thinking about that, but it would affect the present. Although they are present, you know, their past experience is going to shape that as well.
Wow. So now you even like put into perspective when you watch those movies of the horses and the people standing behind the fence. Like
Yes.
you just think like they're looking, and it's like, no, they're actually trying to build the trust as well. So,
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And they're very aware of things from a much bigger distance than we even might realize, you know, because of them being prey animals. And also remember, you know, they have their eyes on the side of the head, so they see much more all around and behind than what we do. And they're much more aware, their hearing, everything is more sharp and aware than it is for a person. You know, I've been with the horses, for example, and suddenly noticed the horse getting nervous. And I'm looking around thinking, I can't see anything, I can't hear anything. And then suddenly I started to hear this humming, and there came a huge swarm of bees passing overhead. Now, the horse heard that way before I did. So it's to be aware how much more in tune they are. And, you know, that might be because they keep more of their wild instinct. And maybe if we live only in nature, we also start to be more aware of these things. But in general, we're a bit shut off from nature, from our true nature, and so from the horse. So then people cause them to be shut down. So, you know, then we create a big disconnect. But it's I believe it's absolutely possible. You know, it is our true nature. It is coming back home to our heart. So spending time with a horse or spending time with nature just brings us back to that light or that calmness or however you see that inside yourself.
oh wow, talking about bringing us back home to our hearts. It's just like brought up right now what you said, the horse can hear something from a very far distance. Now, my mom was raised in India, and her sisters, they're quite a big family. They had a pony, a horsey named Mohan, and they always talk about this horse. And there was one of the massive floods. The horse was taken up, and they were looking after him from the window while he was floating up, and they were feeding him. And they were talking always about this horse that our grandma could just whisper when he drops him off to school. She'll whisper like, Mohan, you have to come home now. And they said that he would know when his owner is calling him. And I was like, really? I mean, I don't know about horses, but I was like, was he that in tune? Yeah, what can you add to such a beautiful experience that they talk about of their horse?
Oh, I think that's so true. You know, like you said something about a horse whisperer. I like to say I'm a horse listener. It's absolutely about listening, you
Okay.
know,
Yeah.
and there is something in that feeling, you know, like she whispered, did he actually hear? Or if she was actually whispering from her being and knowing that was true, that somehow that connection absolutely goes through. That's a beautiful story.
Yeah, yeah. So they always talk about how he was always in tune and he knew when he was being called. And our granny didn't even have to scream for him. And so I was like, okay, wow. So they talk of some really beautiful experiences that they had in India, like when we compare the story of the flood between the sisters and what each one saw on that day of the flood and took with them. Like one sister would talk about all the letters of people, the love letters were flowing away with the flood, and you'll see all these letters. That's what one sister observed. The other sister observed all the snakes and the animals also being taken away with the flood. And so when you compare them, when they finally got together, and I was there, compare all their stories with the horse being there and how they had to keep the horse afloat and feed him carrots and whatever through the window while he was on their level of the roof. So
Oh.
yeah, so you know, like when it comes to you and this beautiful topic, bringing us back to our hearts and home, what is the most profound lessons that you've taken in all these years? I believe you've been working with the horses from a very young.
Mhm.
It's hard to pick again.
Yes, it is. It is hard to pick, but I think it's just simply that thing of allowing yourself to trust and believe in love without expecting anything back, you know, just to really feel love. And I think it has to start with ourselves. So I think when we can feel that we are a loving being deserving of love, and you know, then we are open and it gives that feeling of safety that the horse feels good in, and that makes that grow exponentially. So I think that is definitely the thing, and we're not necessarily taught that, and we can even have a life that takes that away from us. So I think it's that thing of, you know, feeling love, that it doesn't have to be about a specific thing, and starting with ourselves.
Wow, yeah, you know, it's really amazing when I'm thinking about this. We make it so complicated. This whole thing, this trusting, love. Um, okay, I can understand animals feel abandoned, but they forget about it the minute they find love again. Isn't love such a powerful healer? It's without expectation.
Yes, it's the most powerful healer. And you know, they say the opposite of love is fear, and that everything we do in life, it's just as simple of, do I make this decision and do this thing? Is it because of love or because of fear? And so often just coming back to ask ourselves that can change just even the small things we do in the day. And I think that's the thing about the love in front of a horse, that of course you're not expecting that horse to turn around and say, I love you too, or I'm going to be there for you, or I'm going to do this. You know, there's no, it's just a simple exchange of feel in that moment.
Yeah. Wow. And last week we had this discussion, and I was just saying to a lady, love gives you no promises. You know, all you have is just now. And you don't know what's going to happen in 3 minutes and what happened before that 3 minutes.
Exactly. Yet we still expect that from a person, don't we? We want that commitment of, yes, I will love you forever. And of course, what does forever even mean? Whereas with an animal, it's just simply about that moment, because there's no way they can turn around and go, yes, I promise to love you forever. Here's a ring, here's to prove it, here's a paper to sign. It's not going to happen. So
yeah. And that's like just the symbol. That's just like a symbol, but it's you who have to do the work in every minute of that partnership. And just like you say, today could be the day that you dragging your partner around on a leash. You just don't know it. What is the imaginary leash and this baggage that is causing the strain in the relationship? But only we humans will, with time, decide, do we want that? Because we, like you say, we're thinking beings, and we're more logical than just taking away everything that makes us feel safe, taking it all away to say that what really matters.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think just the thing of that we can't give what we don't have, if we don't love ourselves and have that love in ourselves, how can we give that to something else? And I think so it starts with that, with that belief of I am lovable. And when a huge animal like a horse chooses to be with you or allow you to be with them, it really can have a powerful effect to believe, if we can't believe that from people, that I am a lovable being.
Yeah.
And that it's such a simple thing, and it sounds so obvious, but so many people have a struggle, including me. And that's why I'm so passionate about that, because it can be such a struggle to really believe that I am a lovable being worthy of being loved. And, having that in ourselves. And so much times in a relationship with other people, it's like a contract or an expectation, and it doesn't start from the point of I am a lovable, deserving of love.
So much of hurting people, that we hurting animals, and animals, they're already born with love. You see the purity because they got nothing to give, in a sense of, but yet we feel their presence more, and we miss them so much. We miss that morning happy tail running towards us, and no expectation from yesterday, today, and all. We have to feed them and look after them. That's the responsibility we've taken on for love, in exchange.
Yeah, totally.
And yet, like I see this videos of this abandoned animals, and oh my God, it just breaks my heart. And when it's a dog, it's even worse for me, because it's like, I love dogs like you like your horses. I love the dogs so much. So when I see that, I always say, God, what we have done, what have we done here?
And it's so heartbreaking, because I think when people abuse animals, well, all or other people, it's first of all a crime against their own selves, against their own being. And that's the saddest thing. But it's what you said, hurt people. So
so and these animals are more vulnerable than people, because at least people can go and find the food, go and get up. Now, if you know that the animal depends on you and you're going to break his leg, that's now like, the what will you do to a human that can't get up and stand up, if you could do that to a dog? So it's just like, wow. And I see these videos, it does make me sad, but it's also making me wake up to where I'd like to put my causes in the future. And as much as it hurts me seeing all these animals and the way we're treating them, I just said, well, you can be the solution one day. You just never know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's a great way to choose where to put your time and energy, is what brings up that feeling, which is different for everybody.
Yeah, that's it. Because I'm like now it's even like gets worse and worse, and these videos are coming to me. They must be trying to teach me something if they're coming to me. And when I see them, I previously it's like, I don't want the sadness, I don't want to deal with it. Now it's like, no, you go into the shadow, in the darkness of that sadness of that animal, see his face, see him crying, see him struggling, so that you can do something about it. Because that animal's feeling is part of your feeling, and you don't want to feel like that. So
No, of course.
yeah,
Of course, and that's the whole other side of the thing. We've been talking all about the positive side of love, but of course there is that darkness in us. And I'm a great believer that we have to be willing, like you just said, to be able to visit those dark places, because that's what grows our capacity to be in the light. It's
yeah,
being able to be in the dark and know that's not everything, and also to choose love, because you know the condition of human, they say, isn't it, is a paradox. So it's being able to hold both things are true, that yes, there is this terrible, painful darkness, like animal abuse, for example, but there's also the love I have. And because I know about that, I can heal. And both things can be true at the same time. We can hold both things and move from one to the other. I think it's the important thing of being able to move, that we
yeah.
can visit the darkness, but we don't have to stay there. We can say, okay, this is true, this is dark, this is horrible, but also over there's love and light, and I can choose to be in that and be able to move.
Yeah, what a wonderful way you've put it. So we've got something like 3 minutes before we round this up. So
Okay.
so quickly time is going here, and I'm really enjoying this conversation with you. And you've talked about light and darkness, and recently I'm starting to feel like this heaven and hell is exists in people. If you can walk gracefully in hell and take the pieces of hell to make your heaven,
Mhm.
um, and look at life like that, I think you won't become bitter, um, because we can take on abandonment, rejection, hurt, hate, all these things, but we can take them on in the darkness, in the hell, but become very much of a light being through that. So I'm going to leave it to you to close this up in the
Oh, yeah, you just put that so beautifully. I don't even know what I have to add, apart from, I think, so many people are afraid to go to the darkness or afraid of being hurt, but then you can't have the joy, so you're living just like this middle line of life. And I think it's that ability to move from one to the other, and knowing that by being in the dark, that our capacity for the light grows so much.
yeah,
That's and we can suffer heartbreak without being broken. When
yeah,
we have that, we can choose to look to the light, and trust our own heart, and trust that we're lovable. If we have that to come back to, some kind of image or thing, whether it's about a horse or an animal or something, that we can just stop and pause and take a breath. And I love to just rub and warm up my hands, and then just put them on my heart and just feel without even touching, and feel, oh yeah, I've got that light is in me, whatever else is going on. So
wow, amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, that was just 111 on the clock there. By the way, so ladies and gentlemen, there's Susan Harden for you. And thank you so much, Susan, for today. Again, I can't say so much gratitude for giving your topic and spending this time with us, to the community. So that's from us today. Bye, guys. See you. Bye.